What up, beautiful people? Today, we are going to talk about Commander brackets. It's been released a couple days now, but I did want to take some time for everybody to digest their thoughts, me to digest mine, and get some free time, and then jump into it with everybody. So, without anything else, let's get into it. So, the Commander brackets is something that after the Armageddon of rulings for the Commander Committee happened, and Wizards took over the Commander Committee Council of the Elders thing, whatever. This is one of their first decisions that they've made as a group. So the decision was, how do we make Commander seem fair and fun and accessible? And you know the old joke, what is the power of your deck? And everybody says, it's only like a 6. But then it has enough high-powered cards that it's, a $10,000 deck and smashes on turn 1. That's not a 6. So here is kind of their solution on how they think that Wizards can help the community fix that. First, I want to say that this isn't meant to change your playgroup, right? This is the official Commander bracket ruling, but it's meant more for people that go to their local game shops and sit down with some strangers and be like, here you go. This is for people that maybe don't have a playgroup and they don't know how strong their deck may or may not be. Is it similar to a precon? Is it competitive? They're not really sure until they play with people, and they don't really want to walk in and say, it's not that bad, and then they wipe the table in 7 or 8 turns. So I don't agree with everything that they've put into the bracket, but I think it's a great start to push that conversation forward and actually have some productive and constructive ideas put into play, rather than sitting here and being like, well, I hate Sol Ring, let's just get rid of Sol Ring. Well, I hate Ancient Tomb, let's get rid of Ancient Tomb, and hopefully it happens. Or you could just rule 0 that in your playgroup. But regardless, that is why they're saying Commander brackets beta, because this is the first entry into it. It will be in full effect for Chicago, and I'm interested to see what ends up coming out of people actually using it and how they feel about the brackets themselves in actual gameplay, rather than us sitting here and talking about it, or maybe playing with your group of friends that your group of friends hates your deck anyways, so it doesn't matter if it's a bracket 1, a bracket 5, they just hate the commander. We're looking at this for our Commander brackets. This is, once again, their beta of it, and I would say it's a good step forward, but it's not perfect, right? So level 1 exhibition, ultra casual, no mass land denial or extra turns. I feel like most playgroups hate that in the first place, and it's a little bit frowned upon going into like your local game store and playing like that with somebody, especially without any warning. No 2-card infinite combos, a little more accepted, but yeah, I prefer not. No game changers. What the heck are those? Be quiet. We'll talk about those later. Shh. It's fine. And few tutors. So you can have the opportunity to pull up some big cards because you're allowed some tutors, but you're not allowed to pull anything that's going to give you that 2-card infinite combo. Okay. And I shouldn't say allowed, but that is the classification of a bracket 1 deck. Bracket 2, very similar. So this is the core, the average current precon deck, right? So there is no mass land denial, no just chaining extra turns together, no 2-card infinite combos, no game changers. Tell us what it is. Quit it. We'll get there, okay? Just bear with me. Believe me, we'll do it. And once again, few tutors. So, not so different from exhibition level. I mean, you can have extra turns, but you can't just pop off and have infinite extra turns for now until the end of time. Okay, level 3, let's go into it. No mass land denial, no chaining extra turns. Okay, late game 2-card infinite combos are a-okay here. 3 game we'll talk about them. Settle down. 3 game changers. Then this is where it gets kind of goofy. 4 and 5. Anything goes, other than the ban list. And I hear you. You're on the other side. That doesn't make sense. What's the difference between the two? Nobody knows. So, in this article, they do talk that they could have had 3 brackets. I don't think 3 would have been great, but I think you could have had 4, because optimize and competitive EDH, they're kind of the same thing, really. They really are. So now that we have that, I will help you guys out. Okay, here is the game changers list. All right, to start with this, let's put it on the table that these are cards that could potentially be banned, but they aren't on the list because they're necessarily being looked at to be banned, or it means that they will be banned. That's not what's going to happen. And I also believe if cards get unbanned, they are going to make their way on the game changers list until they have enough play and enough data to say, all right, this card definitely isn't the card that it used to be when it first got banned. Let's just put it in the rotation. Don't call it a game changer. Don't worry about it getting banned or anything like that. You see the list here of exactly all the cards that they have. There's pretty fair for the most part, I would say. Scrolling down to this, why is card X on the game changers list? I think this is important to get that information out there, right? So we have a bunch of the tutors, right? These are the best tutors in the whole game, in the whole format. They tend to end up just winning games when they get cast, because you get the thing that's going to finish off the game for you, and then you play it, and then you finish it off. Kinda understand that, right? And they're also super low cost, right? Most of these are 1, maybe, 2? 1 and 2, all right? There you go. 1 and 2 is the total cost of this, of all these guys. So you tutor it up, you play the card, you win the game, shuffle up into the next one, you tutor it up, play the card, win the game, shuffle, you get it. I'm not opposed to putting these kind of on the watch list. Hey, these are feel bad cards, right? Now, if that's the only way that you win the game, that really sucks. But let's see. The next set of cards that we have here, these are ones that are going to lock down the game for your opponent basically on their own, right? So there is the whole stacks style deck. I have a Brago deck. I don't play stacks with it because I don't think it's fun to play that way. But there are cards out there that do similar things but not as aggressive. So once again, I think for the health of the game, not the worst, right? You want to see these in competitive. You don't want to see these coming out of a pre-con or at your local card shop when, you know, you're trying to have a fun time and then you get smoked by these. Next round of cards, just extremely fast mana. This is one of those situations where I'm like, okay, this is extremely fast mana, and I will buy into the conspiracy theory of, are they going to unban Dockside, and are they going to unban Mana Crypt, right? I think with this, there is a conversation that can be had about it. I think at least Dockside shouldn't be unbanned. I'm sorry, Jeweled Lotus is also in there. But Dockside is pretty oppressive and can be abused pretty easily. Once again, it's a 2-cost card that just goes insane. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I could see those cards getting unbanned and just living on the Game Changers list because they fit extremely powerful fast mana pieces that accelerate the game. Yes. Then the next group of cards is just massive resource advantage, right? So Smothering Tide and Rhystic Study, everybody hates those. The One Ring, ridiculous. Everybody, I feel like everybody complains about the One Ring, and yes, it is very feel bad to play against, but I don't know a single person that would say Rhystic Study and Smothering Tide is not like the bane of their existence. Bolas's Citadel, yeah, I get it. Jeskai Will, it's kind of funny because I think it was just reprinted in MH3. Trouble in Pairs, kind of funny because it's a newer card that just got printed. Vorinclex, basically mana denial stuff. They decided, yeah, this is not a bracket 1 or bracket 2 card. Even bracket 3 seems kind of dangerous. So, okay, I'm good with that too. Next set, combo and storm cards. Create a bunch of power, gold, mismatch at more casual tables. Yeah, basically throws off the whole dynamic of casual. When Underworld Breach, Ad Nauseam, Lion's Eye Diamond comes down. Yeah. The casual table goes, well, this sucks. Gaia's Cradle, Serra's Sanctum, massive value every single turn. Okay, I get it. Kind of is. I feel like, yeah, they're lands, but like it fits very much this fast mana, powerful piece of the game. Same thing. Thassa's Oracle, yeah, it sucks. Cyclonic Rift, yeah, it only sucks if you're not playing it. Which I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying it sucks as long as you're not the one casting it, right? Expropriate, expensive, but take a turn alongside taking 3 permanents. You could finish out a game that way, sure. Jin Gitaxias, yeah, he's evil. Fierce Guardianship and Force of Will, I don't know. I understand it being a free card, but it's just weird to put it like here. Also, the circulation isn't super high, I get that, but I don't know. The spell itself, it's like cool, you cast a free one. This final group here is actually the most interesting. This whole pile. This goes on to mention that they wanted to be very careful with banning legendary creatures because they didn't want to just destroy people's decks just from the get-go. So they don't want to have an oppressive creature that basically takes control of the table and they go, hey, that deck doesn't exist anymore because we ban it. So now they're just going to say, here you go, it's level 4 or level 5. I think that's alright. It's not the worst. And the thing that they point out in this paragraph also is they are game changers, because if they're a commander, they become so oppressive and such an issue at a table that, yeah, it needs some sort of regulation or checks and balances to say, okay, this isn't a number 1, a number 2, maybe not even really a number 3. If they're in the 99, I don't know. Do you really want to see them at a table of 1s or 2s? Maybe 2s wouldn't be too bad, because that's precons, right? So in the 99, not bad. As the commander, yeah, all of a sudden we're talking, hey, this deck might be a 4, just off the rip. Then they go on to talk about like Sol Ring. Yeah, Sol Ring's just a staple, and Sheldon would kill us if we did anything with it. Further on, there was some conversation of people being like, well, you know, my deck doesn't have game changers or late game 2-card combos in it, but everybody makes me feel like my deck is so strong. And Gavin continues to go on, hey, these aren't bulletproof, right? There does need to still be a conversation. This is just lessening that conversation so you know what you're getting into. And if there's a deck that a commander helms, you can see the commander from the get-go, hey, man, I don't know if I'm going to play that deck if you're against that deck. I think that the brackets end up getting more blankety than anything else. And I know with a beta, they're not trying to nitpick down to, you know, very specific cards. Obviously, the game changers is a different thing, but I do think that there's more room that they can expand this on to actually make it easier to understand and easier to grade your decks on. So I'm curious to see where they go from here, and especially with all the data that they get from Chicago, also what exactly ends up happening. Okay, so I wanted to use some of my decks as an example, and I use Archidekt. I know a lot of people use Moxfield also, but we're going to use Archidekt here. So here we go. Looking at a couple of my decks that I have, just kind of glossing over them a little bit. My Demon Monkeys deck. So this is my Goblins deck that I have Wart as my commander, and I just built it. I'm curious to see where it goes and how it plays, but they're estimating I'm a number 4, right? So it's a high-powered commander deck. So 3 infinite combos, that ends up being why this deck ends up being a 4, because if it's a late game infinite combo that I can pull off, it ends up being a level 3. But the fact that, you know, 4 cost and then 2 cost and then first day of class is a 2 cost, like, they're pretty cheap on the mana cost end. It's possible it could go off early. Alright, my next deck, this is actually pretty funny, because this is a pseudo pauper deck that I built with people at my work, and basically what it is you can have any uncommon or common in your deck as long as they have an uncommon or common printing. It has to be $1 or less, and your commander is legendary. With all that in mind, I mean, $28, and I actually only paid $15 when I purchased all these. I'm sitting at level 2. Like, that's not bad. Okay, the reasoning, estimate that it sits at a 2, but it could qualify as a 1. I would probably say that this deck is a 1, because it is very much ninja-y, ninjutsu-y, a bunch of unblockable creatures, that type of stuff, but none of it is big beefy creatures, because once again, keeping in mind that the rules for making this deck was it had to be under $1. Next deck I'm looking at is my Brago deck that I've talked about a bunch. That being a 4, yeah, that makes sense. It's grumpy at me because I have Trophy Mage in there. Mass Land Denial. You know what? I actually took that card out, so it's not even in there anymore. But I do have the Arbiter. Which, once again, like I said, in the 99, I don't know if it's necessarily that big of an issue. Next deck. This is a deck that I made because my friends were so mad about my Brago deck and the fact that it didn't let them play at all, which I'm like, I can make you not play. This deck makes you play a lot. It's not my fault you run out of gas, and this one picks up around turn 10 or 12. Basically every single card in this deck, aside from a few staples and I think 1 or 2 other cards, says each player or each opponent. It's sitting at a 2. I would say that makes sense. That also makes sense. Good old Prosh, Sky Kitty. And this is actually pretty entertaining because I haven't gone through this since the brackets were first announced, and all of the brackets have changed on all of my decks. So here we go. Non-land tutor cards in your deck. Defense of the Heart and Final Devastation. Okay. 2-card infinite combo pieces in your deck. I disagree. Honestly, like, yeah, I think I disagree. Now, I know you can go infinite, and I know that's what it says, but like, that is almost like a non-bow, right? So you can go infinite and create infinite mana of infinite colors using Food Chain and Prosh, but where do you go from there? Like, you need a 3rd card to really like infinitely finish out the game, right? Make somebody draw, ping somebody, right? And I'm not saying the deck isn't strong. It isn't up there. It doesn't deserve to be a 4. I agree. I think it's a pretty strong, pretty oppressive deck. The longest I think this deck is taken me to win is maybe turn 8, turn 9. So I'm on board with it. I'm just saying I think that that's a weird infinite combo. I would expect it to just finish out the game, right? That's where my mind's going, but that's maybe my understanding. That's rule 0, right? And then finally, so my last deck, 2. Yeah, I think I don't know. I think this is a 3, because this is at the level of a pre-constructed deck, or maybe a little bit more. I think it does struggle at times, like mechanically, but I don't think that the bracket should rate it mechanically. It should rate it by like the sum of the cards in the deck, right? I would maybe say mine needs to be a 3 and not a 2 in this situation. Yeah. Let's see. Non-land tutor cards, Ring Sight. By their description, it should be a 1. By my description and how I know it plays, it's probably a... There you go. There's my rundown of the commander brackets. Let me know, do you agree? Do you disagree? And let me know what your decks are ringing in at. Do you think they hit the mark on your decks? Do you think they missed? Should it be a lower bracket? Should it be a higher bracket? Whatever. Let me know. But at the end of the day, we know one thing for sure, and that is your deck's not a 6. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Don't forget, whether you liked or disliked what you heard in this video you just watched, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the video on YouTube. I am going to be doing some live streams every Saturday, if possible, on YouTube and Twitch. There will also be recordings that are released throughout the week, so keep an eye out for both of those things. And once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much.